The rain-slicked streets of Willow Creek, Oregon, glistened under the neon glow of a diner sign. But inside Ethan's chest, a storm raged fiercer than the one outside. He sat in a corner booth, staring at the coffee growing cold in his mug, while his heart screamed for a man who didn't even know he existed. That man Jasper Reed, the town's golden boy, football star, an untouchable alpha strode through life like he owned it, oblivious to the quiet boy who'd loved him since 8th grade. Ethan Harper wasn't the kind of guy people noticed. With his wire-rimmed glasses, thrift store sweaters, and a sketchbook always tucked under his arm, he blended into the background of Willow Creek High like a shadow. But Jasper was the sun broad-shouldered, with a laugh that could stop hearts and hazel eyes that seemed to hold secrets no one dared ask about. Ethan had spent years watching him from afar, sketching his profile in secret, each line of his pencil a confession he'd never dare speak. They were worlds apart, Jasper, the alpha destined for greatness, and Ethan, the omega who'd never felt worthy of love. Tonight, though, something felt different. The diner was nearly empty, save for the hum of a jukebox playing an old Springsteen song. Ethan's sketchbook lay open, a half-finished drawing of Jasper's face staring back at him, when the bell above the door chimed. His heart stopped as Jasper himself walked in, shaking rain from his hair, his varsity jacket clinging to his frame. Their eyes met for a fleeting second, and Ethan swore the world tilted. Jasper didn't smile, didn't nod, just held his gaze with an intensity that made Ethan's breath catch. Then, as quickly as it happened, Jasper turned away, joining a group of friends at the counter. Ethan's fingers trembled as he closed his sketchbook. Why do I do this to myself? He thought. Jasper was straight, or so everyone assumed. He dated cheerleaders, partied with the jocks, and lived the life of an alpha who'd never looked twice at someone like Ethan. But there was something in that glancey, a flicker of something unspoken that Ethan couldn't shake. He paid for his coffee and slipped out into the rain, unaware that Jasper's eyes followed him through the diner's fogged-up window. The next day at school, Ethan tried to bury himself in routine. He kept his head down in the halls, dodging the usual taunts from guys who thought his quiet nature made him an easy target. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. In art class, their teacher announced a paired project: create a piece that represented connection. Ethan's stomach dropped when she called his name alongside Jasper's. The room buzzed with whispers. Jasper Reed, paired with the weird art kid. Ethan wanted to disappear. Jasper slid into the seat beside him, his presence overwhelming, like heat radiating from a furnace. Guess we're stuck together. Huh? He said, his voice low, almost teasing. Ethan nodded, barely able to meet his eyes. They were supposed to brainstorm, but all Ethan could think about was how close Jasper's arm was to his, how the scent of his cologne cedar and something sharp made his head spin. I'm not good at this art stuff, Jasper admitted, leaning back in his chair. You're the expert here. Harper, what's the plan? Ethan swallowed, forcing himself to speak. Maybe something about how people connect without words. Like, through glances or moments. His voice wavered, and he cursed himself for sounding so nervous. Jasper raised an eyebrow, a slow smile tugging at his lips. You're deeper than you look, aren't you? Ethan's face burned, but for the first time, he felt seen. They spent the next hour sketching ideas, Jasper's rough suggestions blending with Ethan's careful lines. By the end of class, they had a concept, a painting of two figures reaching for each other across a divide, their hands never quite touching. It felt too close to Ethan's heart, too raw. But Jasper seemed oddly invested, his usual cocky demeanor softening as they worked. Over the next week, they met after school in the art room, surrounded by paint cans and the quiet hum of possibility. Ethan learned things about Jasper he'd never imagined, how he hated the pressure of being the town's perfect alpha, how he stayed up late reading sci-fi novels, how his dad's expectations weighed on him like a boulder. Jasper, in turn, seemed fascinated by Ethan's quiet passion, the way his hands moved over a canvas like they were telling a story. One evening, as they cleaned brushes side by side, Jasper's hand brushed Ethan's. The touch was electric, lingering just a second too long. Ethan froze, his heart hammering. But when he looked up, Jasper was staring at him, his expression unreadable. "You ever feel like you're hiding who you really are?" Jasper asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's mouth went dry. He wanted to say yes. "Every day? Because I'm in love with you and it's killing me." Instead, he nodded, his voice failing him. Jasper's gaze lingered, heavy with something Ethan couldn't name, before he turned away, breaking the moment. That night, Ethan lay awake, replaying every second of their time together. Was he imagining the tension, the way Jasper's eyes softened when they talked? He told himself it was nothing. Jasper was untouchable, unattainable. But the seed of hope had taken root, and it was growing faster than he could control. The art project became their world, a fragile bubble where Ethan could pretend Jasper saw him as more than a partner for a grade. But outside that bubble, Willow Creek was a pressure cooker. Rumors spread fast in a small town, and whispers about the Alpha and the Omega started circling. Ethan overheard cruel jokes in the locker room, saw sidelong glances in the cafeteria. Jasper, though, seemed oblivious, or maybe he was just good at pretending. He still walked the halls like a king. But Ethan noticed the cracks, the way his jaw tightened when his friends made crude comments, the way he lingered near Ethan's locker between classes. One rainy afternoon, they stayed late in the art room, the painting nearly complete. The canvas showed two figures in silhouette, their hands inches apart, surrounded by swirling colors that felt like a storm of longing. Ethan was adding final touches when Jasper spoke, his voice cutting through the quiet. "You ever wonder what it'd be like to just leave? Start over somewhere no one knows you?" Ethan paused, paintbrush hovering. "All the time," he admitted. "But I'd miss this place, even if it doesn't always feel like home." Jasper's eyes darkened. "Sometimes I think I don't belong here at all. Like I'm playing a role I didn't sign up for." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "You make me feel like I could be different." Ethan's heart stuttered. He wanted to ask what Jasper meant, to demand answers, but fear held him back. Instead, he focused on the painting, his hands trembling. Jasper reached out, his fingers brushing Ethan's wrist. And this time, neither pulled away. The air between them crackled, heavy with unspoken truths. For a moment, Ethan thought Jasper might lean in, might close the distance, but then the door swung open, and a janitor's voice broke the spell. They jumped apart. The moment shattered. The next day, everything changed. Ethan arrived at school to find his sketchbookie's private, sacred sketchbook, filled with drawings of Jasper torn apart and taped to the lockers. Sketches of Jasper's face, his hands, his eyes, were scattered like confetti, each one a piece of Ethan's heart laid bare. The word freak was scrawled in marker across one page. Laughter echoed through the hall as Ethan stood frozen, humiliation burning through him. Jasper was there, surrounded by his friends, his face pale. Their eyes met, and Ethan saw something flicker in Jasper's expression: guilt, maybe, or shame. But he didn't step forward, didn't say a word. Instead, he turned away, letting his friends' laughter swallow the silence. Ethan fled, his chest tight with betrayal. He'd been a fool to think Jasper could ever care. For days, Ethan avoided Jasper, skipping art class and hiding in the library. The town felt smaller, suffocating, every corner a reminder of his exposed heart. But Jasper didn't let it go. One evening, he showed up at Ethan's house, rain-soaked and wild-eyed. "We need to talk," he said, his voice raw. Ethan wanted to slam the door, but something in Jasper's eyes stopped him. They sat on the porch, the rain a steady drumbeat. "I didn't know they'd do that," Jasper said, his voice breaking. "I should have stopped them. I'm sorry, Ethan. I'm so damn sorry." "Why didn't you?" Ethan's voice cracked, anger and hurt spilling out. "You let them tear me apart. You let them make me feel like nothing." Jasper flinched, his hands clenched. "Because I'm a coward. Because I've been hiding, too." He looked at Ethan, his eyes glistening. "I saw your sketches. They broke something in me. No one's ever seen me like that. No one's ever cared enough to." Ethan's breath hitched. "What are you saying?" Jasper leaned closer, his voice a desperate whisper. "I'm saying I've been fighting this for years. Fighting you. Because wanting you means admitting I'm not the alpha everyone expects me to be." The words hung between them, heavy and electric. Ethan's heart raced, torn between hope and fear. Before he could respond, Jasper stood, running a hand through his wet hair. "I don't know how to do this," he said, "but I can't keep pretending I don't feel something." He left Ethan on the porch, the rain washing away the space between what was and what could be. The days that followed were a tightrope walk. Jasper started seeking Ethan out, small gestures at first, like sitting next to him in the library or leaving notes in his locker with scribbled apologies. Ethan wanted to believe in him, but trust was a fragile thing, and the memory of his torn sketchbook still stung. Yet, every time Jasper's hand brushed his, every time their eyes met, Ethan felt the pull of something bigger than fear. One night, Jasper texted him, "Meet me at the park. Please." Ethan hesitated, his heart warring with his head. But he went. The park was quiet, the air crisp with autumn. Jasper stood under a street lamp, his face shadowed but his eyes bright with something raw. "I can't stop thinking about you," he said, stepping closer. "I've tried. God, I've tried. But it's you, Ethan. It's always been you." Ethan's throat tightened. "You hurt me, Jasper. You let them hurt me." "I know." Jasper's voice broke, and he reached for Ethan's hand, his grip trembling but firm. "I was scared. Scared of what it means, of what people will say. But I'm done running. I want you. I want us." The confession cracked Ethan open. years of longing spilling out. He wanted to believe, wanted to trust, but the fear of being broken again held him back. What happens when your friends find out? When the town talks? You're the alpha. Jasper. You don't get to jest. Choose this. Jasper's eyes blazed. I'm not choosing this. I'm choosing you. And I'll fight for it. Ethan. I'll fight for us. Before Ethan could respond, Jasper kissed him a desperate, searing kiss that tasted of rain and promises. For the first time, Ethan felt like he belonged somewhere. In the circle of Jasper's arms. In the quiet of a world that was theirs alone. They stood there, foreheads pressed together, breathing in sync, as the weight of their secrets lifted. But Willow Creek wasn't kind to secrets. The next day, a photo of their kiss circulated, snapped by someone hiding in the shadows. By lunch, the school was a battlefield of whispers and glares. Jasper's friends turned on him, calling him names Ethan couldn't bear to hear. Ethan found him in the locker room, his knuckles bloody from punching a wall, his face a mask of anguish. I don't care what they think, Jasper said, his voice shaking. But I care what you think. Tell me what I have to do. Ethan, what must I do to deserve you? Ethan's heart shattered and rebuilt itself in that moment. He took Jasper's hand, ignoring the stares, the whispers, the weight of a town that didn't understand. Just be you, he whispered. The real you. That's enough. They faced the storm together. Jasper quit the football team, choosing art classes over the expectations of his father. Ethan started sketching openly, no longer hiding his heart. The town didn't change overnight. Some doors closed. Some voices grew louder, but they found allies. 2. A teacher who saw their talent. A few classmates who saw their courage. They painted their story on every canvas. In every stolen glance. In every touch that said, I'm here. Years later, at their college graduation, Jasper stood on a stage. No longer the alpha the town had crowned, but the man he'd chosen to be. He held Ethan's hand, unafraid, and spoke to a crowd that included their families, their friends, and a few faces from Willow Creek who'd learned to see them differently. Love isn't about deserving, he said, his voice steady. It's about showing up. Every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Ethan looked at him, his heart full, and knew they'd already won. They hadn't just survived, they'd built something beautiful, something true. And in every sketch, every kiss, every moment they fought for, they proved that love, in all its messy, painful, glorious forms, was worth it.